I hate when this happens. So what happened, I use an application called Streamlabs to do my streaming, and what happened was I did something silly and I tried to make an adjustment to something while streaming and I crashed the application. It was really silly on my part, and so I had to restart the stream. And unfortunately, it can't just go back to the stream I just had. So hopefully everybody finds this again, because unfortunately I have no other system next to me. I have no other system next to me to let you all know that I restarted the stream. Oh man, 2020 strikes again. I'm blaming it all on 2020. Works in progress. I get to seeming or... Okay, there's it. Do you guys see me? Or am I just catching up to a conversation? Oh, I am. Okay, I lost Carrie too. New stream started. Okay, Ever found it. Yay. It's so interesting because I'm getting the chat. I left a note that a new stream started. Thank you, Ever. Yeah. Man, that's the thing about live streaming. You never know what's going to happen. It's part of the excitement of it all. It was my fault. That was user error. I should have known that the application was going to crash if I tried to do what I tried to do. Found you. Yay, Whitney. Yay. Oh, this also means that I'm going to have to... It's fine. It's not a big deal. It just means whenever something like this happens and I have to restart the stream, I then download the first and second stream and I edit them together and I put out a replay so people, if they want to, can watch the whole thing. And I can never decide if it's worth doing or not, or if I should just have people watch part 1 and part 2. And I can't decide which is better for my analytics, basically, which is a little inside YouTube Studios business, but you know, YouTube probably doesn't care. I don't know. I don't know enough about the algorithm and how they figure everything out. I just know that this is what I know about the YouTube algorithm. I know that comments boost you on the algorithm because that means people are interested in your videos. Likes boost you in the algorithm. So please like this video as well if you have not already. And obviously subscribers and hitting the notification bell are going to boost you as well. But yeah, it's really interesting though. My last video, I'm kind of abashedly proud of that title because I feel like I did a nice little bit of clickbait there with that video, and I definitely have seen a increase in my usual like average views at this point for a video, a new upload. And I'm a little abashed about it at the same time because I kind of hate that in order to get seen, you're constantly having to think of how do I sell this video in a clickbaity way that will make people click on it, and how do I create that clickbait where people don't feel disappointed at the end either. Because I don't necessarily mind if something is clickbait if there's a payoff, but I don't want to create a clickbait and then feel like, well, that's all it was? Like, really? That's all it was? Because that's annoying. We've all been there, right? The video or the headline or whatever it is, and it's clickbaity as hell, but you're like, oh, maybe this time it's gonna pay off, and you click on it, and you're like, wah, wah, wah. Hey, Samantha, glad you found us. Welcome to Knit Tea Live. Glad everybody's making their way over to the new stream. So yes, my next confession was that, just to recap, if you're watching this and you didn't see the first 5 minutes of the first stream, I'm talking real well today. Yes, I never read through the entire pattern before I cast on and I start knitting. I can't think of any disaster that has ever resulted in me just jumping into a project. I think I probably have a tendency to improvise quite a few decisions along the way, but I would probably do that regardless. And maybe, but I can't think of any big disasters. The reason that made me think about it was a mutual follow of mine on Twitter she was doing a pattern. It just said cast on, so she used her go-to cast on, and then which was the German twist, and then she got partway through the pattern and she saw that she would need to pick up stitches along the cast on edge to make a more seamless look, and German cast on doesn't really lend itself well to that. So then she was like, oh well, I wish I'd known that in the notes. And that's something too, though. I feel like but that I don't think was on her. I don't think that was on her at all. I think that is something a designer should put in the notes at the top, being like, these are the things, the major points that you need to consider with this pattern. I consider that a good part of pattern writing, is to give an overview in the notes of what is going to be involved in the pattern. When you don't make knitters and crocheters read your entire pattern to figure out key information like that. No, that's not good pattern writing, in my opinion. Has a new video shown in your notifications? Interesting. Sorry, I have the YouTube. Okay, so I have the chat box that I put up to the side on the screen, and I put that up really for people who watch on replay so that they can kind of follow any conversation that went on. And it's just interesting because I'm getting the YouTube chat from the previous video, and but none of that is showing up here I have also, in my application, I can see the chat on the screen. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, who wants to knit? Who wants to confess to me their knitting confession? I'd love to hear it. Oh, I see. Thank you, Ever, for letting me know. You should be able, Ever, to share a link. If you go to on your YouTube video, there should be share and get a copy of the link, and maybe you can give that to Janet to help her get over. Although it should just be, if she just goes to my main page, my main YouTube page, the video should be right there. The live stream video should be right there. If she just goes to youtube.com/CarrieCraftGeek. Anyway. Go on, Luz Janet. I want to hear about her whips in progress. And, but anyway, let me know what your knitting confessions are. I'm dying to know. What are the little things that you do that maybe other people would be like, really? Or maybe where you're sitting on the plane and there's always that helpful knitter who's like going, why are you doing it that way? Which is always like, mind your own business, lady or gentleman. Men knit too. But while I do this, I'm going to show you something that has fallen into my lap. Yesterday it showed up at my doorstep, but here's the deal. So let me get to live stream. Make sure I have that. Okay, have that set up, what to do. So I think it was Wednesday or Thursday night, doesn't matter, and I was sitting there and a DM comes up from one of my friends, and she says, Carrie, can I ask you something about knitting? And probably a favor too. I was like, heck, one of my non-knitting friends wants to ask me about knitting? Hell yeah, shoot away, ask me. Ask me what you need to know. Let me help you. Right? And it's a very sad tale. So she has a daughter who's 2 now, and her daughter has a favorite blanket. It's a hand knitted item, and my friend, so sad, she put it in the wash and she forgot to put the wash on delicate, and this was the result. I'm gonna show you, and it's tragic. So turn that on. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. I feel like I should be playing dramatic music. So this was the result. Her washing machine tore up this poor blanket. It is like, oh, well, I don't know if she'll ever watch this video, but let me widen out a little, so you can see a little. That's my computer right here. Yeah. So this is what happened in the washing machine. Got a hole here. Got a giant tear up here. And tear over here. And I mean, this is like, this is like something someone made for her daughter. Her daughter sleeps with this blanket every night. And they were always planning to kind of keep it as just, a memento and an heirloom kind of thing. And she just was like, Carrie, she sent me pictures. And at first she was like, yeah, I kind of, it ate it up a little bit. And I was like, can you maybe fix it or sew it up? I was like, well, yeah, right, Ever. It hurts. It hurts the soul a little bit. And it's a beautifully worked project. It really is. It's very cute. It's blocks. The main block, I don't know if you can see it yeah, you can see it a little bit better here without the light shining on it, is this penguin. And this is just done in like kind of stockinette knit purl combination to create this penguin motif. And then other blocks are this here, which this is just seed stitch, I believe. I think this section, I gotta double check. I'm pretty sure this is seed stitch here. And then other sections is kind of a broken rib kind of pattern. Here you can kind of see it here. I think this is a broken rib. Maybe both are broken rib. That's the thing. I got to figure out the stitch pattern for each one. But because it's not just, I don't think this is ribbing. Maybe it's ribbing, but it's just, maybe it's just, I don't think so, because this looks like this here. These are lines definitely. Let me zoom in. Maybe you guys can help me out here. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. There you go. Hey, Janet, welcome back. Did I go sideways? Oh, I hope I did. Oh, I hate when it does this. All right. I'm going to do something. I'm going to switch back to my webcam real quick, because I got to fix the overhead. Sometimes this camera application I use to get a clean feed from my old iPhone that I use for my overhead, like, just will tilt the image sideways. So then I have to do this whole thing to get it worked out to be the orientation that I want. So that's what I'm doing when I'm reaching up like this, is I'm like adjusting the camera to get it back the way it was. So yeah, maybe you can help me figure out this stitch pattern here, but let's see, can I just tilt this down? Don't you F with, there we go. Okay, you can see it better now. So this stitch pattern here, there's these columns of stockinette. That's very clear. It's these columns here, which, I mean, that look, I don't think that's just purl stitches. It's not. It's garter stitch. So I think this is a kind of broken rib pattern. So if anybody knows exactly what this pattern might be, I'm going to do some research into what this pattern is, because I want to, ideally with this blanket, my hope is that I can do patches that can match the stitch pattern. Oh, this section, it just breaks my heart. I feel so anyway, she's just like, but when she first sent me the DM and she told me like my washing machine damaged this blanket, I was like, well, what I can do kind of depends on how much, but I could probably darn it or maybe sew up the sides a little bit or something. But I really need to see it to know for sure. And then she sent me the photos and I was like, oh, honey. Oh, honey. Fisherman rib shot in the dark. That could be. I don't think this is. Do you mean fisherman rib, which is like kind of the alternative to like a brioche kind of pattern, but it's done in a different way? Because this I don't think is that at all. I don't think that. This is very basic sort of. These are all basic knit purl combinations in this blanket. So, but that is something I should write that down. I'm going to write that down because it's something I can definitely look at. ever. Is it a slip stitch panel on the purl side? I don't think so, because it's not the same, but this is reversible, and it could be slip stitch. It absolutely could be slip stitch, which would make a lot of sense for how these purl bumps are looking. But this is what it looks like on the other side. I thought I had a pin in there. Slip stitch. But it could be a slip stitch pattern, absolutely. Thank goodness I have 3 volumes of Barbara Walker, because I swear to God, every stitch pattern ever is in those books. Like, people are like, oh, what's a stitch dictionary that I should buy? And I'm like, get Barbara Walker. Just get get the first 3 volumes for sure. Maybe get the 4th volume. I don't have the 4th volume. That's the only one I don't have. And I want to get it eventually just to complete my collection. So let's see. Slip stitch of some kind. Fisherman's rib. So yeah, my plan is, this is kind of my game plan, because here's the thing, and I didn't tell her this, but I'm very confident I can do something to repair some of this, and she doesn't have big expectations. She keeps telling me, Carrie, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm like, honey, this is the thing you gotta understand about us crafters. It's not that it has to be perfect. It's just that we want to make it as perfect as we possibly can. So, of course, I'm going to do everything I can to make this repair as good as I can, But this is definitely, like, we are entering into new territory for me. This is going to be new territory for me. So if anyone is more familiar with repairs and such, give me all your tips. I want to hear them. Because, with that being said, I have been doing research. I found some videos, and I asked her already if she was cool if I shared this with my YouTube channel. She's like, absolutely. So I am going to chronicle the journey of, this blanket. So, hopefully all of us can learn something along the way. I've already looked at some really useful videos. But my plan is, for the smaller holes like this, I think that I can do a kind of, it's not technically darning, but it's a kind of darning where you do recreate the stitch pattern. And I'm very confident that these smaller holes like this here, even this chunk here, this is definitely garter stitch. This chunk here, no problem. I think I can totally repair that up. There's another little hole here where a stitch broke. It's these bigger holes, like this one, that I think is the question mark in terms of what can be done. I've been seeing videos, though, on ways to knit up patches. So I think what I want to try to do is knit up patches that at least, it may not look seamless, it may look a little bit like a surgery was done, but will keep the fabric overall stabilized and be as inconspicuous as possible. But these are the sections where I think is the real question mark, are these really long runs that happened. And the other thing I've got to figure out, this is reading very blue on camera, but the color, let me see, that's too bright. That's maybe a little better. The color is a much more green than what it's coming across on camera right now. Oh, great, Janet. That'd be so helpful. Sorry, I just looked up. Fisherman rib, shot in the dark. Yes, because it is knit, not knit purl kind of thing. Right. Janet, I have a close-up of fisherman's rib, so I can send it to you? Yes, Janet, please do. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, this is going to be like a big, but I'm actually, on the one hand, it's like, I'm so sorry. I want to make this whole as I can for you. And so her daughter can have her blanket and, and at the same time, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be such a fun, exciting challenge. Like, I even told her, she dropped it off at my doorstep yesterday. And I told her, I was like, Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited for this. I'm actually kind of excited. Janet, how's to send it to me? Um, okay, so a couple different options depending on your feels, but you know what? You can always email me pictures. You can email me at knitswhereit'sat gmail.com. So you can totally email me, or you can DM me on Twitter or Instagram. My PMs and DMs are always open. Facebook, I have the Facebook page. You can DM me over Facebook. So I'm pretty easy to reach out to. Does that help? Does that answer the question? So yeah, but the thing I got to figure out with the yarn is I'm 99% certain this is acrylic. She thought it was cotton, but um, I'm pretty sure that it's acrylic yarn. And the reason I'm pretty sure is A, the feel of it, B, these, even though this isn't like ribbing, when I stretch this out like this, it pops right back into shape. And that wouldn't, you don't expect that with cotton unless there's some kind of nylon in it. And there's just the shininess of it. I tend to think this is acrylic. Um, and I can kind of see the end here, even though it's a little fuzzy. And I pull that, and with cotton has a very short staple, and even though this is just a little bit of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Ply. There we go. If I pull it, it doesn't just like kind of come apart like cotton does. So I'm 98% sure this is acrylic. But what I'm going to do is, let me switch this one. Yes. What I'm going to do is, to make sure that it's acrylic, is I'm going to do the bleach test. Now, most people have probably heard of the fire test when trying to figure out if an unknown fiber is synthetic, animal, or plant-based. You can do the burn test, and that is just taking a little bit of the yarn, lighting it on fire, and seeing what happens. Because each one of those, synthetic, animal, or plant-based, will have a different reaction. They'll burn differently. But the burn test is not totally safe. It's not really a safe test. It's not really recommended. And and the reason is, nope, burn test. Nope. Yeah. So, because you never know how those fibers have been treated. And if it's man-made, you just don't know what you might be releasing if you do a burn test. And so the safer test to do is a bleach test. You can take the fiber and you just put a little bit of bleach and see how it reacts. I have to look up how each fiber reacts because I'm trying to remember. If I remember correctly, acrylic fiber will just dissolve. Like the bleach will just eat it and it will dissolve. Animal and cotton, different things happen with the bleach test. So I'm going to do the bleach. I know this is not wool. That much I am certain of. Just email to knitswhereit'sat@gmail. Perfect. I will check my emails when this is done. Thank you so much, Janet. That's so helpful. And my friend thanks you as well. And her daughter. And yeah, but she dropped this off at my doorstep yesterday. We weren't able to see each other, COVID. My friend, she is pregnant, and she's like due any week now. And so it's like she's been in like lockdown for 9 months. It's like just when all this started, she got, yeah. Like, so we're all very excited for her, and at the same time it's like, God, I feel for every woman who's pregnant during this right now, because like it's not just having to be locked down. It's also like, can family come and see the baby? When will that safe? Can it ever be safe? Will we ever know? I don't know. Ever. Safety. Poof, you people with your things to live for. Ever. There's a lot of good things to live for. There's knit tea. Almost every Sunday, there is knit tea to live for. Come on now. Come on. Oops, I need more coffee. My internal sensor broken. It's okay ever. I have gallows humor. I do. I have gallows humor. I had to be careful. I always feel like I have to watch out myself because I'm like, okay, is this person going to take this the way I intended? Because I've learned the hard way. I have learned the hard way that not everyone understands my humor or gets my humor. That's why I kind of sometimes just stick with cheeseball. Because cheeseball humor everyone gets. Cheeseball humor is fine. Self-effacing humor, people are good with. Like, anyway, so that is one of the big projects that I'm going to be working on in the coming weeks. I think we'll just see how it goes. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to cover it with the channel yet. I think mostly I'll probably treat it somewhat maybe like a vlog in how I approach it, and I'll kind of give you guys updates, but we'll see. We'll see how I approach it. Vlogging is not like, I don't know, that vlog video I did, what do you guys think? It wasn't my favorite thing in the world. And it was fine, don't get me wrong. It's just, I don't love vlogging, so I tend not to want to do it. And I'm like, I guess part of it is too is I'm generally not interested in vlogs from people. I'm like, it's just not my cup of tea. That's all. So anyway. All right. Oh wow, it's 11:40 already. Who is ready for some pattern spotlight? Are we ready for it? I think we might be. I think I am. Thank you, by the way, everyone. And I will, if I remember, I will, excuse me. I will take some photos of the blanket. And if anybody else has ideas on what they think the stitch pattern might be, I'm going to put photos up on Instagram because I think that's probably the best place. And should I do it in a story? Anyway, I'm going to put the photo up on Instagram. And if anybody has ideas on name that stitch pattern, comment there. And if you're not following me on Instagram, what are you waiting for? My photos are delightfully unprofessional in real life. I don't do the pretty staged Instagram photos. I don't. Like, half the photos I take is like, here's something I'm working on my purple couch. Look at what a mess. That's my other confession, by the way. This is more of a crafting confession. Doesn't this all look pretty organized and nice behind me? Right? Seems like, oh look, her craft room is probably really great. Like, really pretty. No. Here's my crafting confession. My craft room is a mess. It's like, part of the reason it's a mess is because I keep up a lot of things to shoot the videos in here, and that's just life. And this is not my favorite setup in the world, and I have dreams of one day doing just a complete overhaul of this space so I really have the setup the way I would want and dream of. But that day is not now, and I'm just making do with what I got. But yeah, if you looked, if I were to turn the, and I'm not going to, if I were to turn the camera over that direction, you would see like cardboard boxes, some are filled with fabric, some is just ideas that I have for future crafts and hacks. There is a bin of just the acrylic yarn that I did for my epic acrylic yarn review. There's like, it's all in one bin over there that I can just kind of keep it over there right now because I haven't decided exactly where to put it. I'm not really great at organizing my physical spaces. I'm really good at organizing my virtual spaces. Like my computer, I'm very good at organizing that and keeping it organized. My physical space, it's always like, I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to do this. Like this might be as good as it gets for me. And I've always been this way. Plus, I'm somebody who is, I find a little bit of comfort in some clutter. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but I always have just found a little bit of comfort in having a little bit of clutter around me. Sometimes it gets out of control, and I gotta take a step back, and it's like, Carrie, you've let the clutter monster go too far. You gotta like, You gotta tame the beast a little bit there. You gotta, like, your clutter's getting too high up on the scale. You gotta bring it back down. Whitney, I wish I had a craft room. My spot in the couch with a 9-month-old, grabbing my pattern binder, my 3-year-old grabbing my yarn. You know, I feel you, Whitney, on that. I have not always had a craft room. I am very privileged that I have this space at all. Before we moved into this house, we were living in a 2-bedroom condo with a very active toddler. Let's see, we moved into our house on my daughter's 2nd birthday. My daughter didn't get a 2nd birthday party because we were too busy moving into the house. But before that, we were living in a 2-bedroom condo, and it was a nicely sized condo, but there was no craft room. I had no craft room. There was a sort of craft space / office area, and if we were still living in the condo, I don't know if I'd be on YouTube right now because I don't know where I would shoot those videos. Janet, nesting for your maternal. Could be. It could be my nesting instinct in play. I've had that in play my entire life. Oh my god, my room growing up was such a disaster. Oh my god. It drove my dad nuts. There'd be times my dad would come into my room and he'd just be like, Carrie, if you don't clean this up, I'm just gonna throw everything away. And I'd be like, it's my room, Dad. Okay, it's my room. Like, let me have my room, okay? It was a constant. My poor dad, he likes everything. My dad likes to have everything in its place, a place for everything in its place. He likes things tidy. And he ended up with 3 kids who ate that. All 3 of us are just like, we walk in the house, we throw up our shoes, the shoes land where they land, and then we're done. Like that. Coats, hang them on a chair, it's fine. It's fine. Just hang it on the chair. My poor dad. I had to live with that for so long. My family's full of big personalities too. That's the other thing I understand. In my family, growing up, I was the quiet one. So, you make of that what you want. Clutter and a very therapeutic. So, anyway, let's get started. I'm going to turn off this YouTube. I should have turned off this YouTube chat box a bit ago because it's just not going to work. I don't know what happened with whatever, but the YouTube, sorry everybody who's watching the replay that the YouTube chat never came through. But this is why I do try to read the comments as they come up. Okay, so let's go into Pattern Spotlight because there's some good stuff that came up this week. I wasn't actually expecting much, if you want to know the truth. I was not expecting a ton of new things for whatever reason. I wasn't expecting a bunch of new pattern releases, but sat down Thursday night and I started looking at my sources to figure out what was new that I was going to put on Fiber Happenings, and there were some very nice, pleasant surprises. Crochet is going to feature a little heavily for the new pattern releases, but also I have 2 new knit designers that are on the Fiber Indie list, so we're going to take a look at their work for Pattern Spotlight, and some news from one of my favorite designers, Lauren Rad of A Bee in the Bonnet. So let me get this set up. Make sure. Sorry, my keyboard's waking up. Okay, I just want to make sure. And we will once again see if the desktop share is successful. It has been. We've been having real good luck with that lately. I think I figured out. Sorry. Okay. There was something on my screen. I'm like, is that speck on my computer screen or is it on the video? It was on my computer screen. So, Pattern Spotlight Video Composite. There we go. Oh no, that's, sorry. That's the video thing. Desktop share. This is what I need. Erg. Oh no. Shoot. Okay, I'm going to come here. Damn it. I know why this is happening. All right, we're going to bring up the desktop share, and hopefully the thing... We may not be able to do Pattern Spotlight this week, guys. Because I didn't record any videos as a backup. Bad on me. And I'm concerned, based on what happened earlier in the stream, that if I try to get this to work, I'm going to crash my application again and lose the stream again, and I don't want to do that. So I think that we're going to have to skip Pattern Spotlight. I'm bummed. I'm bummed. I know, right, Ever? Right? It's because I jinxed it. I totally jinxed it this week. It's totally on me. Janet, the technology gods are mad at you. They really are. I don't know what I did. I did something. I'm probably being too hard on my computer. It's probably see they're going, Carrie, you put it through too much. Your computer wasn't made for all of this. But like, why? Why? No, I'm kidding. I don't. Yes, the technology gods are not with me today. It's, you know what? I was getting a little prideful. I didn't do the screen recording backup like I normally have done in the past, so that if screen share wasn't going to work, I could at least do something. I got prideful. I didn't do it. I was like, no, it's been working fine. And technology gods, you know what happens when you get prideful? They turn you into a spider. I'm referencing Arachne, by the way, if you aren't quite sure of that. So, but by the way, guys, just still time to share with me your confessions. Janet, I know that you talked about in the chat on the previous video about your works in progress, but honestly, I missed it because right when you were explaining it is when my application crashed and I was trying to get back on. So can you explain it again? Because I'm really curious. Sorry if this live stream feels a little unorganized, more so than usual. I really wasn't sure if I was going to have it at all this week, and I've just been super busy with the text campaign and everything. So, the whole bring an umbrella just in case technique. Yeah, right. You want to make sure it doesn't rain, bring an umbrella with you. Want to make sure it rains, don't have an umbrella with you. Kai, Io, it's Childish Gambino. Okay, welcome, Kai. I know who Childish Gambino is. I do know. I'm not that out of the loop on life. Thank you to my many nephews. I have 11 nephews. Sorry, I'm floundering a little bit because I usually plan to have like the last 15 minutes of live stream be Pattern Spotlight, and so I'm floundering a little bit, going, I'm not sure what to talk about. So ask me anything. Now's your chance. Now's your chance to ask me anything for the last 15 minutes of live stream. Might be a little less. I'm trying to calculate in my head. Oh, well, 10 minutes. I have about 10 minutes. No, I'm looking 9-10 minutes. Arrgh. And I'm not sure exactly what the delay is. I should have known. I should have known something was up. I know I mention this all the time. I usually have a little laptop, a little Chromebook right here to kind of watch the YouTube studio of the live stream, to kind of keep an eye on the signal and various things. As I was setting up, I couldn't find it. Now, you might be sitting there going, wait a minute, Carrie, how do you lose a computer? Even a Chromebook, as small as it is. Trust me, if there's a way to lose something, I will. I am notorious where I'm like, here's something, I'm gonna put it down right here. Life. Where did I put it? I have no idea. I can't find it now. It's that whole not being great at organizing physical space thing going on. Janet, what about asking everyone if they have thoughts about future vids? Oh, yes, of course. Always. Oh, and I can mention my future vids. Thank you, Janet. Thank you for the prompt. I had 12 or 14 whips, which I address once a year. I get to seaming or mailing, and everything stops. Oh, okay. That's actually really clever, actually, Janet, I think. To just every year have like a set aside time to do your finishing and go, okay, Now's the time to clear the decks for the coming year. I think that's really smart. I should try to steal that for myself because, like, I always have projects where it's like I still just need to wash and block it. I still just need to finish the ends and be done. And I'll be my other knit, and this isn't, well, it's a knitting confession, but it's something that is well known because I talk about it all the time. Finishing is the step that I sort of enjoy least in this. The mood will strike me and I'll start doing it and I'm like, yeah, this is great. Why do I always dread the finishing steps? But it is something I have to kind of work myself up into a little bit. So yeah. But yes, please let me know, what future videos would you like to see? Just so you know, yesterday I did shoot the video on the strong heel, so we will be ending Socktober with me demonstrating how to do the strong heel. If you weren't in last week's Knit Tea Live, or you weren't, or you haven't watched the replay of last week's Knit Tea Live, I will show you what the strong heel looks like. Here we go. So this is the strong heel, and it's kind of, at first glance, it can kind of look like wow, that it almost looks like a flap and gusset, but the decrease line just looks much more subtle, and that's because the strong heel is sort of it has a very similar structure to the flap and gusset, but it's knitted in a very different way, because with the flap and gusset, you knit the flap, right? You do the heel turn, you pick up stitches all around the edge, and then you knit the instep and the gusset, and you decrease the extra stitches away that you generated from picking up along the edge of your flap. The strong heel, on the other hand, is done where you actually knit the gusset and this flap area in your instep. You knit this all at the same time in the round, and this is actually an increased line of stitches that is creating the gusset. And then you do your heel turn, and the heel turn is where you decrease away all those extra stitches. And so you end up with a very long line of decreases at the heel. So that is the strong heel, and I used it on this sock. Let's see, let me just, can I zoom out? I tried to zoom out before. There we go. This sock, I did it on the strong heel, and I did it because I wanted, not that I couldn't have done this on a flap, I could have on a traditional flap and gusset, but I had reasons that I wanted to do the strong heel, and I wanted to do this where I brought this center back motif of this sock all the way down to the end of the heel. So anyway, my next video is going to be me demonstrating how to do the strong heel. And the reason that I was really wanting to do the strong heel initially was because you don't have to pick up stitches. There are disadvantages to the strong heel, which I will go over in that video, but that video will be up. I shot it yesterday. It should be uploading on Friday, so that is coming up. Janet, I figure finishing whips builds character to force myself to do things I do not like. That's funny. That's funny. I do feel like I became a better person being a knitter in a lot of ways. I know that sounds strange, but I think that knitting or crafting in general does help sort of teach you a lot of things. It teaches you lifelong learning, because learning new skills and understanding that no matter what age you are capable of learning new things, learning new skills. It's one of the things I love most about not just knitting, but crafting in general. And I think that's a really valuable lesson. I think knitting has also helped teach me sort of patience. Like, you have to be patient with yourself. Enjoy the moment that you are in with a project. Like, there comes a point, especially larger projects like sweaters or something, there definitely comes a point where you're like, God, if I have to knit one more row or one more round of this many stitches and this stitch pattern, like, but we all get there, right? We all get to pattern fatigue. But I think that it's important like in that moment to stop and go, you know what? Maybe you just need a little break from this. That's fine. Take a break if you need it. But at the same time, if you just stop focusing on the future, because that's what you start doing, right? When you get into that sort of fatigue, is you're thinking about the end of the project, or you're thinking about where you want to get, instead of just being in the moment and enjoying the moment. And I think that is like important lessons from knitting, is that be in the moment, not just in knitting, but in life. Like, we very easily get caught up in things that aren't right now. We get caught up in the future. We get caught up in the past. You know, it's very hard for our brains to be settled in the moment. And I think knitting, not just the act of knitting, which is by nature meditative anyway, because it can focus the brain, but I think having those moments, those challenges as we're knitting, when we get impatient, of just going, it's an opportunity to remind ourselves, like, hey, your impatience is because you're focused on the future. Be here. Be with your project right now. Life lessons from Carrie in knitting. I'm just babbling at this point. But yes, any videos that you're interested in. The strong video is coming up. I need to work on the video that's going to be a real life knitting situation where I'm finishing I don't have it here in the room with me, but I have a cowl that many of you have seen the progress on. I want to start shooting the finishing process for that. So that is an upcoming video that I was going to do. The holiday seasons are upon us, and this is another thing, and I think I'm going to put this up on my poll in a story on Instagram, which is, what is your favorite kind of gift giving project to do? I'm wanting to have a themed pattern spotlight where I look at good projects for gifting, because we're in the holiday season and a lot of us try to do gift knitting. Or do you do gift knitting at all? That'll be something that we can talk about in the coming weeks. Is, do you do gift knitting? Because, yeah, I'm going to confess something right now to you. I don't knit a lot for other people. I don't. I think a lot of people just aren't knit worthy. But also, it's just, my thing normally is when a family member is pregnant, or a friend, is me knitting for them a baby blanket. That's a kind of a standard thing with me that I really enjoy doing. I like to knit for my family that dishcloth that I'm always talking about, I do have a free pattern of if you sign up for my newsletter. I knit that for my family a lot because it has a lot of sentimental meaning, because it's what my grandmother always knitted. So I will knit that for people. But large projects, I always worry about sizing and if they're going to like it, and, you know, are they going to wear it? Are they going to use it? And so, like, you have to be somebody really, really special in my life before I knit something for you. Knit One Pug 2. Welcome, Knit One Pug 2. Sounds like I'm unusual and only having 3 to 4 whips. Oh. I think that's usually what I'm at. I think I'm usually around 3 or 4. Ever. I have all sorts of people. If you are looking for a knitting project, I'd like. So they're recruiting you for things. That's fun. I would love if people recruited me. Recruit me, please. Take my knitting. No. Hi. Okay. Again, I'm sorry about Pattern Spotlight. I'm sorry about the technical problems today. Sorry if this live stream was a little not very smooth. I'm still getting used to live streaming and perfecting my live streaming skills. I tend to just do what I do. Like, yes, I can't think of anything else to knit for myself. I can always think of things to knit for myself. Always. Janet, knit book. You slacker. Get going on a whole lot more. Starts with no finishes. The thing with me is, okay, so tends to be my pattern. with whips is I have like one long-term project that has been going on for a long time, and that is the blanket. Actually, I have it back there, but it's the blanket that was in my knitting confession video that uploaded on Friday. That project I started 2 years ago. I probably started that project about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. And it's just an ongoing thing that I put down for a while and I come back to, and I put down for a while and I come back to. It's just mitered squares. And it's kind of a nice filler project for when I'm in between other more immediate projects. So so there's almost always like one project that I have going long term that one day I will finish it, and then I'll have to find my next like 2-3 year project. Then there'll be the 2 projects that I'm really into at the moment that I'm flipping back and forth on. And right now, that one is the tunic, and really into that. And I'm a little in a stalled spot, but that happens, and then I'll flip to the other project. That other project for me was the cowl that I need to finish. So I'm kind of at the finishing stage with that. So I need another kind of second project on the needles, because I usually like to have like 2 projects on the needle at all times so I can flip between them. And that kind of helps me with I'm getting a little bored with this. I need a break from it. Let me switch over to this. Of course, I can always switch to knitting the dishcloth, the washcloth. That's always on the option. So yeah. And then I normally have something that I'm tooling around in my head, or maybe swatching out a design for. So I normally have I would say normally I have 3 to 4 projects going on. And then there's just the pile of, Carrie, you've got to do the finishing. And there's usually 2 or 3 things in that pile. So I think right now I only have 2 things. I have a hat that I need to wash and block, and then I've got the cowl that I need to do. I can actually wash those at the same time. So maybe you'll get a twofer on that. So yes. Knit 1, pug 2. The stress of having too many whips starts messing with my head. Hey, that makes sense. I get that. We all have our own psychology when it comes to finishing projects and what makes us feel comfortable. Like there are people who don't have yarn stashes. They only buy yarn for a project. They have a project. They buy yarn for that project. They work that project, they complete that project, they move on to their next project. And so they never really have a yarn stash. Those people amaze me. I'm like, ooh, that's so cool of you. Washing always feels like a make or break point. It's nerve-wracking. Yeah, I never feel that way. I can see why that is true for people with the washing, because it does kind of give the final finish, if you will, to the project, and it is kind of the thing that gives it that last feel of it's the point that really, there's a lot of points along the way that make something look handmade versus homemade, and the washing and blocking process is, I think, the big thing that makes something look handmade versus homemade. And it does kind of sometimes feel like, well, if I mess this up. Personally, I don't stress personally about the washing and blocking when I get to it. It's more just carving out the space to do it and deciding this is the time and the space I'm going to do it. It's very easy for me to push it down the priority list, and I think also it's like washing and blocking requires a certain amount of physical space to do it in, and I have a very active 3-year-old. And so it's like, I need to be able to put this item in a place for a good amount of time to dry, that the cat's not going to get to, that the toddler is not going to get to, that I can still get to relatively easily. And you think, hey, Carrie, you got a crafting room. That shouldn't be a problem for you anymore. Except my crafting room is a mess. And I have lights and things set up that I try to keep set up so that I can film and not have to spend a whole lot of time setting up when I'm ready to film. So I can try to be efficient as possible. So my crafting space, oh, I just want to redo the whole room. This is what I need. We're going long because I'm just babbling now, but I need my sister-in-law in Atlanta when COVID is over to come and organize my space for me. She's amazing. Her craft room, it's like so organized and clean and pretty. And I kind of like, honey, could you just come and spread your magic to my space? Because if somebody sets it up for me, I think I could maintain it for at least a little while. I could maintain it. But I get overwhelmed. That's the thing. I start getting overwhelmed by all the stuff that needs to be put someplace and organized in some way. And so then I just like, I throw my hands up and I'm overwhelmed. I'm gonna go knit. I'm just, F it. I'm gonna go knit for a while. And then 2 months later, I come back. Sam, I get pattern overwhelmed sometimes. I want to make all the things. Sometimes pattern stash digital physical management tips may be an interesting video. That's a really good idea. I'm going to write that down. I'm writing that down because I think that is an excellent, excellent point. I think sometimes pattern fatigue. I think sometimes it's hard to know what to start on next. And I know I'm subject to that. I know I'm subject to sitting there going, I'm waiting for some feeling, some urge to come over me to decide my next project. I'm going to knit, and then I'm waiting for this like internal motivation, this spark, instead of just picking something. So I think that's a really good idea, Samantha. Do you prefer Sam or Samantha? Let me know. Janet, organization is a good topic. Have your sister-in-law as a guest presenter. I know, if I could fly her out here, I can. A, can't afford it. B, she's in Atlanta. And COVID. Oh my God, COVID. I'm trying not to dwell on current events during this time because I think we all are aware. Okay, so I did not expect to go as long as we did because I was like, pattern spotlight, how am I going to fill the time? But I feel like we've had a nice conversation. But I do need to start my wrap up because life beckons, and I do need to, I want to put in some texting time. We're having our last big push for Get Out the Vote. Speaking of, PSA, if you have not already, and why have you not already if you have not already, make a plan to vote. You can go to vote.org. There's also, vote.org is really good. There's also iwillvote.com. You can go to any of these, find out all the details that you need to know so that you can vote in this election. Voting is happening right now in many localities. I know early voting has started in Los Angeles. We have places that open, early voting locations started on Friday in Los Angeles, and more locations are going to be starting up next Friday, 5 days before the election. So make your plan to vote. Have your plan to vote and vote because everybody's voices matters in the election. I prefer Samantha. Thanks for asking. You're welcome, Samantha. It's important. I'm a big believer. We all have our names, and how your name is pronounced matters. So, yes. Whitney voted. Woo! High five to Whitney. High five to Whitney. Shout out. Ever, our election is over. Good luck on yours. Thank you, Ever. I hope your election went well in Canada. I voted by mail for 20 plus years. That's great, Knit One, Pug One. I'm confession. I keep going, have your plan to vote. I'm a little torn at the moment because in LA for the first time, in LA, and this is happening in California, all voters are receiving vote by mail ballots. I am torn between using my vote by mail ballot or turning that in and voting at a polling station. I'm nervous about the vote by mail ballot only because of signature matching. Like, I'm sitting there going, I don't know what my signature was like when I had to sign something to register. I've registered online now for years. So I don't know what signature they have on file for signature matching. So I'm a little nervous about that. Plus, I just have this whole romantic thing about going to a polling location and standing at the polling booth and marking, well, in this case, doing a screen. I just have a whole thing about it. I've always enjoyed the process, and I'm kind of loath to give that up. So it's going to be fine. Because what will happen is I'm going to be turning in our ballots anyway to an election center. This was something my husband and I decided a while ago, that we would definitely be turning our mail-in ballots to a person at an election center. So I'm probably going to fill in my vote by mail ballot and take it to the election center and hand it off. But if I change my mind, it's fine, because I'm planning to go to the election center anyway to do that. So if I decide that I want to vote in the polling booth, I can totally do that. So I've got backup plan. I got my plan A and I got my plan B. So I'm set myself. But yes, make a plan to vote. Make sure to vote. My other PSA is be kind to texting volunteers. Please. Please be kind to us. I know they can get annoying. I know there are a ton of people right now who are texting you, different organizations. Here's the thing. There's a lot that I've learned about texting volunteers, political campaigns. Many different organizations have text campaigns, but all of them pretty much use the same sources for their list. And that's why you get contacted by multiple organizations and you say stop, and that organization will opt you out, but there's 5 others that are still going to text you, because even though they use the same database of material, they all have their own list, and you have to opt out of each list. The other thing is, a lot of times people assume that if you're getting a campaign text like that it's coming from a bot. Here's the key to know that if you're being texted by a bot or a human being. Human beings, when they text you, the number that comes up will look like a regular phone number that you would get on your caller ID if it was a friend calling. So if you see that, just know that it's a human being on the other end. If you don't want to hear from them any longer, just text stop. You will be opted out. And there's no reason to swear at them or be rude or whatever. But please be kind to your texting volunteers. Everybody who's doing it is doing it because they care, and they care deeply. So yes. All right, Janice, bye. Thank you for joining us today. I am scared, and I've never felt like this. Yes, yes. I know, Janet. I know what you mean. But you know what? We are 9 days out, and I have faith. All right. So those are my PSAs. Be kind to your texting volunteers. Make your plan to vote. Vote. Keep an eye out for next week's video. It will be on the Strong Heel. It's going to be the last video of Socktober, so we're going to end with a sock-specific video for that. If you have not already, check out Fiber Happenings. We have new designers. We have new pattern releases. Lauren Rad of Bee in the Bonnet is having a sale at her Etsy store. You can find all of that on Fiber Happenings. Fiber Happenings is at knitswhereit'sat.com. There will be a link for that in the description box. It's going to take me a couple minutes to get the description box filled out, however, because this stream doesn't have all the same information. But it won't take me long either. In the description box, you will find affiliate links. Affiliate links help support my channel. If you're planning to shop at any of the places for which I am an affiliate, please consider using one of my links if you'd like. It's a win-win situation. You're going to buy something that you wanted to anyway. I get a little help with supporting my channel, and that's all an affiliate link is doing. And of course, I will never recommend a product or a store that I can't, stand behind, because my integrity is everything, and I ain't got nothing if I ain't got your trust. So no worries about that. And if you want to know more about affiliate links, you can also go to my website, knitswhereit'sat.com/FAQ, and I have a whole FAQ about affiliate links. I think that is everything for this week. One last thing for sure. Again, next week will be the last Sunday before Election Day. It's going to be a very busy time for the volunteering. So I do not believe that I'm going to live stream, but I am not sure. So keep an eye out on my Twitter and my Instagram and my Facebook page, wherever you kind of follow me on social media. I will make an announcement in the coming days about whether there will be a Knit Tea Live next Sunday or not. I think that's everything. Thank you so much for being here today. Please enjoy the rest of your Sunday or weekend or weeknight, weekday, depending on when you're watching this, whether it's live or on replay. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, if you're watching this on the replay, join the conversation down below. Let me know what videos you're interested in. Let me know your knitting confession. Love to hear it all. You can totally still be part of the conversation. I think that's everything. I just need to set up one thing. All right, so thank you. If you have not already, give my video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Have a great weekend. And as always, happy health and happy knitting. Bye.